Picture yourself standing on a frozen cliff, the wind howling through a world untouched by cities or the hum of machines. It's a place where survival hangs on the sharpness of a flint blade, the strength of your tribe, and the courage to face the unknown. Welcome to the human wild, where we strip away the layers of our modern lives to uncover the raw, untamed truth about who we are and where we came from. Today, we're diving into a story that's as unsettling as it is awe-inspiring. A tale of cannibalism, giants, and the shadowy dance between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. This isn't just history. It's a journey into the heart of humanity's darkest instincts and brightest triumphs. So, grab a seat by the fire, and let's step into the shadows of prehistory. Imagine it's 40,000 years ago, and the world is a brutal, unforgiving expanse of ice and stone. The air smells of pine and frost, and the distant roar of a cave lion sends a chill down your spine. In this world, our ancestors fought not just to live but to carve out what it meant to be human. They weren't building temples or writing stories. They were scraping by with their hands, their teeth, and sometimes, in ways that make us shudder today, with acts we'd rather not imagine. Cannibalism. Yes, you heard that right. From the icy caves of Europe to the sun-scorched plains of Africa, the bones of our ancient kin tell a story of eating one another. But why? Was it hunger, desperation, or something deeper? Something sacred, spiritual, or even a raw display of power? You're part of a small band of Homo sapiens, huddled in a cave as a blizzard rages outside. The last hunt failed, the berries are long gone, and the hunger in your gut is louder than the storm. Beside you lies the body of a friend, someone you shared laughter with just days ago. The choice is unthinkable, but it's their eat or die. This is survival cannibalism, born not of cruelty but of necessity. In places like Goff's Cave in England, archaeologists have found human bones with cut marks, scratches and slices that mirror those on deer or boar. These weren't random acts of violence. The bones were carefully processed, flesh stripped, marrow extracted, and in some cases skulls carved into bowls. It's chilling, but it's real. These people weren't monsters. They were survivors, pushed to the edge by a world that offered no mercy. But cannibalism wasn't always about starvation. Sometimes it carried a weightier meaning. Picture a tribe gathered around a flickering fire, shadows dancing on their faces as they mourn a warrior, a leader whose strength they revered. In some ancient cultures, consuming the dead was a way to honor them, to keep their spirit alive within the living. This is funerary cannibalism, a ritual that feels alien to us but was sacred to them. By eating the flesh of the deceased, they believed they could absorb their courage, their wisdom, their essence. A way to say, "You are not gone. You are part of us forever." In other cases, though, cannibalism took a darker turn. War cannibalism wasn't about love or survival, it was about dominance. Imagine two rival clans clashing over a fertile valley. The victors didn't just kill their enemies. They consumed them, a brutal act to show supremacy, to erase the other not just from the land but from existence. Bones from sites like El Sidrón in Spain show this grim reality. Neanderthal remains with marks of deliberate butchery, suggesting they were food, trophies, or both. The players in this ancient drama weren't just tribes but different species. Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and their ancestors, Homo heidelbergensis. When Homo sapiens arrived in Europe, they didn't find an empty land. Neanderthals were already there, stocky and strong, built for the cold. The meeting wasn't always peaceful. Picture a group of Homo sapiens, lean and cunning, stumbling across a Neanderthal camp. The air is tense, the silence heavy. There's no shared language, only the primal understanding of competition for food, for shelter, for survival. In some cases, these encounters turned violent, and the evidence suggests Homo sapiens didn't just fight Neanderthals. They may have eaten them. Was it hunger? A way to claim the land? Or simply what happened when one group met another they didn't understand? In a world without borders or laws, the line between enemy and resource was thin. The evidence is stark. Caves across Europe, from France to Spain, hold bones that tell the story. Skulls cracked open for brains, femurs split for marrow, even tools made from human remains. It wasn't just Homo sapiens, either. Neanderthals did it too. At sites like Krapina in Croatia, their bones bear the same cut marks, suggesting they turned on their own kind in times of desperation or conflict. Was this a rare act, or was it woven into the fabric of ancient life? The pattern repeats across time, from Homo heidelbergensis 700,000 years ago to Cro-Magnons 40,000 years ago. In Spain's Cima de los Huesos, a pit with 28 Homo heidelbergensis skeletons shows deliberate cuts, hinting at survival or ritual. These acts weren't random, they were deliberate, repeated, part of a world where survival demanded extreme choices. Why does this matter to us? Sitting in our warm homes with food a click away? Because this is our story. These ancient humans, with their flint tools and firelit caves, are our ancestors. Their choices, however shocking, shaped the path that led to us. They faced a world we can barely imagine, where every day was a fight against hunger, cold, and predators. Yet they didn't just survive, they thrived. They painted caves, crafted tools, and laid the foundations for who we are. To understand their triumphs, we have to face their darkness too. Cannibalism wasn't a footnote. It was a chapter in the human story, one that forces us to confront our own instincts and the lengths we'd go to survive. As we step forward, we'll meet the Cro-Magnons, those giants of the Ice Age who didn't just survive but reshaped the world with their strength and creativity. Now, imagine a world where giants walked the earth, not fairy tale giants, but the Cro-Magnons, our direct ancestors, who strode across Ice Age Europe with a presence that left scientists stunned. When their fossils were uncovered in 1868 in a cave in southern France, the world gasped. These weren't just old bones, they were massive, standing between 5 feet 9 inches and 6 feet 1 inch, with broad skulls and strong jaws. They towered over Neanderthals and medieval humans alike. To a world still piecing together human evolution, they seemed like myths come to life, giants who faced down mammoths and carved a legacy in stone and bone. Picture yourself as one of them. You wake to the howl of wind through a frozen valley, your breath clouding in the frigid air. Your body is built for this: dense bones, a broad chest, muscles honed by a life of constant motion. You're a hunter, tracking reindeer or bison across vast plains. Your spear carved from bone and wood, your mind sharp with the rhythms of the seasons. This was the Cro-Magnon way, a blend of raw power and cunning, a life shaped by the brutal demands of the Ice Age. But they were more than hunters. They were thinkers, creators, dreamers. Step into the caves of Lascaux or Chauvet, and you'll see their soul laid bare. Walls alive with galloping horses, charging bison, prowling lions. These weren't just drawings. They were stories, rituals, maybe even prayers, painted with a precision that captures motion and life in the flicker of firelight. Their ingenuity went beyond art. They crafted tools that were marvels. Spears with barbed points, harpoons for fishing, needles to sew hides into clothing that could withstand the cold. They made ornaments, necklaces of shells, teeth, stones, hinting at beauty, status, or identity. Their burials tell us even more. In some sites, they laid their dead to rest with offerings, tools, jewelry, even flowers, suggesting a belief in something beyond this life, a hope that death wasn't the end. These weren't just survival tactics. They were the seeds of culture, of community, of everything that makes us human. But survival wasn't gentle. The Cro-Magnons weren't alone in Europe. Neanderthals, stocky and resilient, had thrived there for millennia. When the Cro-Magnons arrived, resources were scarce. Game, water, shelter, and competition was fierce. Their tools gave them an edge: long-range spears, traps, strategies that let them strike from a distance, while Neanderthals relied on close-range ambushes. In a world where every calorie counted, a defeated enemy, human or not, could become a resource. Sites like Goff's Cave show human bones, including Neanderthal-like remains, with cut marks like those on animals. Skulls turned into cups, femurs cracked for marrow. It's a grim picture. Was this desperation in a starving winter, or a symbolic act to erase a rival species? Likely both. To the Cro-Magnons, Neanderthals weren't us. They were other, competitors in a zero-sum game. Yet it wasn't all conflict. Modern humans carry 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA, proof of interbreeding, of moments when these species connected, perhaps trading tools or sharing a fire. But these were rare. Where Cro-Magnons appeared, Neanderthals often vanished, sometimes within generations. In southern France and the Iberian Peninsula, Neanderthal sites go silent as Cro-Magnon tools and art take over. Was it coincidence? Or a deliberate replacement? Picture yourself leading a Cro-Magnon band through a new valley, finding signs of another group, footprints, a smoldering fire, crude tools. Your children are hungry, the game is scarce. The strangers you meet don't look like you, shorter, broader, stronger in close combat. But you're faster, smarter, with weapons they can't match. Do you share, risking your survival? Or do you fight, knowing victory might mean their erasure? This was the Ice Age, where survival demanded hard choices. The Cro-Magnons weren't just survivors, they were builders. Their art, tools, and burials show a mind that dreamed beyond the next meal. They watched the stars, followed the seasons, wove stories that bound their tribes. They were us, in our rawest form, their triumphs laying the groundwork for our world. As their story unfolds, we'll see how they turned fear itself into a weapon, crafting bone masks that made them more than human, myths in the flesh. Step into a forest at twilight, the sun sinking, shadows stretching across the snow. You're a Cro-Magnon, moving silently with your band, when a figure emerges from the trees. Its face is hidden behind a mask of bone. A boar's jaw jutting from its chin, human teeth woven into its surface, dark eyes staring through you. Your heart pounds, your courage falters. This isn't just a person. It's a nightmare, a specter of death and power. Welcome to the world of bone masks, where ancient humans turned fear into a tool, blurring the line between human and myth. These masks, found in Paleolithic and Mesolithic sites, weren't mere decorations. Skulls carved, jaws pierced, bones polished with signs of repeated use, they were crafted with purpose. Picture a warrior stepping into a rival camp, his face obscured by a deer's skull, antlers framing his silhouette, or a shaman chanting by the fire, wearing a mask studded with an enemy's teeth. The effect was immediate. Fear, submission, awe. In a world without words as we know them, these masks spoke louder than any cry. Why bones? Because bones endure, carrying the essence of what was. To wear an enemy's or animal's bone was to claim their strength, their spirit, their story. It said, I am more than human. I am your fear made flesh. In battle, these masks were psychological armor, turning a warrior into a legend before the fight began. Facing one in a cave's dim light or a forest's twilight, your spear feels heavier, your resolve weaker. The battle is half won before a blow is struck. But masks weren't just for war. They were used in rituals, initiations, hunts, funerals. A young hunter might face a masked elder, proving his courage to join the tribe. A shaman might wear one to channel spirits, bridging the living and the dead. Within tribes, masks reinforced authority. A leader in a bone mask wasn't just a man. He was a force, a god among men. Youths didn't just obey, they revered. This was primitive psychology at its finest, manipulating fear and awe to bind or break. Archaeological sites show the details. Skulls with drilled holes, jaws with pigment traces, bones worn smooth. Some masks were painted with ochre or charcoal, heightening their terror. These were tools of control as calculated as any modern strategy. For Cro-Magnons, meeting Neanderthals or rival groups, these masks could scatter enemies before a spear was raised. Imagine a weakened Neanderthal band seeing a Cro-Magnon war party, faces hidden behind bone masks, approaching in the dusk. The psychological impact alone could claim the valley. Within their own tribes, masks built unity. A ritual led by a masked figure wasn't just ceremony. It was a shared story, forging bonds stronger than fear. The Cro-Magnons understood the power of symbols, of appearances, of the stories we tell ourselves. Their masks were a bridge between the physical and spiritual, human and divine. In a world where death was ever present, that bridge was everything. As we move deeper into the past, we'll meet Homo heidelbergensis, whose story of survival and ritual laid the roots for this world of masks and fire. Travel back now to a time before Cro-Magnons or Neanderthals, to the world of Homo heidelbergensis, who walked the earth 700,000 to 200,000 years ago. These were the ancestors of Neanderthals and perhaps us, tough and smart, surviving a world of megafauna and brutal climates. Their story is one of resilience, but also of choices that challenge our ideas of humanity. At its heart is a practice that haunts us: cannibalism. Imagine a cave in what's now Spain 400,000 years ago. The air is damp, the darkness broken only by a fire's flicker. You're part of a Homo heidelbergensis clan, and life is a constant dance with death. Winters are harsh, predators lurk, and food is never certain. A clan member lies dead, an elder, a rival. The body is before you and a choice looms. At Cima de los Huesos, the pit of bones, archaeologists found 28 Homo heidelbergensis skeletons, their bones marked by deliberate butchery. Cut marks, fractures, signs of marrow extraction. These were calculated acts. Was it hunger? Sometimes, yes. In a world where a failed hunt could doom a group, a body was calories, protein, fat, marrow. The bones show precision. Flesh stripped, bones cracked, skulls opened for brains. This was survival cannibalism born of desperation. But the way these bodies were placed, deep in a cave, far from the surface, hints at more. Was this a burial? A ritual? An altar where the dead were consumed to honor or absorb their strength? The truth is murky, but the evidence suggests both necessity and meaning. They weren't just scavengers of their own kind. Homo heidelbergensis were skilled hunters, taking down ancient elephants, wild horses, even hippos. Picture them moving as one, their fire-hardened spears ready, their eyes sharp with knowledge of the land. They hunted in ambushes, using valleys to trap prey, using every part: meat, hides, bones. But they didn't live on meat alone. Women, children, elders gathered fruits, roots, tubers, honey. Their plant knowledge passed down through generations. They fished, collected shellfish, ate insects when times were lean. Nothing was wasted in a world where the next meal was uncertain. Fire was their ally. While we're unsure if they cooked regularly, they used fire to shape their world, driving off predators, softening roots, maybe preserving meat. Fire let them settle in colder regions, gather around its warmth, share stories that bound them. Food wasn't just sustenance, it was power. Hunters and gatherers earned respect, leadership, reverence. Sharing a meal built trust, reinforced bonds, defined belonging. But the cannibalism lingers. In some cases, it was survival, a harsh winter, a failed hunt. In others, it may have been ritual, a way to keep a spirit alive or dominate a rival. Imagine two clans fighting over a hunting ground. The victors consume the defeated, a final act of erasure. Sites like Cima de los Huesos and Bodo in Ethiopia show cut marks, fractures, signs of dietary precision, not just violence. Their complexity shines through. They made tools, hand axes, spears, scrapers, showing planning and precision. They cared for their injured, suggesting community. Their treatment of the dead, whether cannibalism or ritual, hints at a spiritual life, grappling with death in a world where it was ever present. They were humans in the making, their lives a raw mix of instinct and ingenuity. Their diet, tools, rituals shaped the path to Neanderthals, to Cro-Magnons, to us. As their story fades, we turn to the final chapter: how these ancient humans faced a relentless world and forged the spirit we carry today. Stand at the edge of their world, a place where every day was a battle against a planet that didn't care if you lived. This is the story of how ancient humans, Homo heidelbergensis, Neanderthals, Cro-Magnons, faced the harshest challenges and forged the human spirit. Picture the Pleistocene, a gauntlet of ice ages, glaciers swallowing landscapes, temperatures plummeting. You're a Homo heidelbergensis, 500,000 years ago, on a windswept plain. The cold bites through your hides. Your stomach aches from days without food. Cave bears, woolly rhinos, saber-toothed cats remind you that a misstep could be your last. Your weapons are simple, sharpened sticks, flint blades, yet you hunt, you adapt, you survive. Hunting was brutal. Taking down a mammoth required strategy. Groups moving as one, using cliffs or valleys to trap prey. Fossils show the cost. Human bones with fractures, punctures from tusks. Every kill was shared. Every meal a bond. Gathering was no easier. Women, children, elders scoured for berries, roots, grubs. Their knowledge of plants a lifeline passed through generations. Disease was a silent killer. Cuts festered. Fevers spread. Parasites thrived. Yet they evolved stronger immune systems, tougher bodies, passing strength to their descendants. Fire changed everything. It warmed caves, scared predators, made food digestible. Around it, stories were born, alliances forged. But groups brought dangers, trust was fragile, conflicts could destroy. So they built rules, unspoken codes of sharing, loyalty. Elders led, hunters provided, gatherers sustained. Language, still grunts and gestures, became their glue, carrying knowledge across generations. When groups met, fear often won. Bones with cut marks, skulls as tools show violence beyond survival. Yet they learned from each other, Cro-Magnons borrowing Neanderthal techniques, Homo heidelbergensis sharing fire. Art gave meaning. Cave paintings, carved figurines, bone flutes expressed fear, hope, identity. A hunt painted wasn't just art. It was a prayer. A burial with offerings was hope beyond death. Night hunts showed their courage. Picture 300,000 years ago, a Homo heidelbergensis band in the dark savanna, guided by moonlight, hunting antelope or hippos. Fossils confirm it. Animal bones with spear marks, human bones broken in the chaos. They turned fear into a weapon, darkness into an ally. Fire was more than warmth, it was war. Charred bones. Ash layers show deliberate burns. Picture a rival group in a cave, surrounded by smoke from lit branches. It was terror, a way to dominate without fighting. This was psychological warfare, proof our ancestors were cunning. They faced impossible odds. Cold, hunger, predators, each other, and thrived. Their tools sharpened, societies strengthened, stories enriched. They had no maps, but they had will. We are their heirs. Their cold shaped our ingenuity, their hunger our ambition, their fear our stories. Every painting, mask, meal was a step toward us. The next time you see a starry sky or feel fear in the dark, remember, you carry their courage, their fire, their wild spirit. This is the human wild and it's our story. What did you think of this journey? Drop a comment, share your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into the wild heart of humanity. We'll see you next time by the fire, in the wild.